Today is wow, considering all things. So clearly, we have a gorgeous Latina woman here with us. Today, doors open to the woman community. Sex is on the menu always. So when I say sex, I'm not even talking about just intercourse. And the rise of the feminine collective and what's going on planetarily, where if you can really see what's going on, a call for a high order planet is here. Call for a high order planet is here. Yeah, before I go on, I want to just really give an appreciation for like a deep, genuine holding and ascending out of love for everybody. And the real kind, the real kind, the real kind. It is hard to be on planet Earth today for so many people. The tension in the image, the tension in the imagery and in the language that's being pushed through media, even through the people in your immediate life, okay? Your parents, your lovers, your whomever. It's so really hungry for connection, really. It's really hungry for connection. And yet everyone, so many are being pulled by the uh, the divisive energies of the world, the actual wicked energies of the world. And depending on what it presents is the opportunity for everybody to choose a higher order way. That's what it's doing. It's presenting the opportunity when a person can see it that way, when a person can see it that way. And so with that knowing, I just send such I'm thinking, and I didn't even realize what's her name, Glenn Doyle wrote a book or she said it. I was at Target over the weekend and she had I don't remember the name, but I remember I flipped it over and it said, "We can do hard things." And I was like, exactly, exactly. And so I send that to everyone who's struggling with their level up, whatever you call it, your love, your glow up, your ascent, your right, because it is a challenge and it will be for a while. And we all have, whether we see it or not right now, we have the power in our hands to create the inner experience. I've been thinking so much about this, creating our own inner fortress. That's our respite that nobody can take from us. And so I send that, you know, out. And then for you and I here right now, Maida, woo, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so with that, I'm going to pause, pull back. And what would you like to say as we segue into today's topic, which, by the way, is from Latina martyr to shameless woman? What would you like to share, Maida?
I'll go ahead and just introduce myself and, also thank you, Naima, for sharing that. You're one of the handful of people who reached out over the weekend to check in and see how I was doing. Um, my name is Mayra. I use pronouns like she, they, and ella. Um, I am a former social impact executive. I'm also a parent. I'm an openly queer lesbian woman. Um, and I'm originally from Costa Rica, so also very culturally Central American, and how I was raised and how I moved through the world. Um, so I'm really excited you all are here today to hear more about the women community and also just like allow me to share what this transformation has been like for me. And I say it very much as a journey. Right, I'm literally navigating it in real time. Like the events of this past weekend just has me really, I think, coming back to yes, how do we create a stronger inner fortress? How do I always remind myself to come back into my body, right? Whenever these experiences and images and things and violence that we're seeing can be such a disembodying experience. And I know that's also like part of my pattern. Like I'll just go bye bye and I'll
Mhm.
leave whenever things get hard. So this weekend has definitely been a test of like coming back into my body and doing the hard things. So really grateful that I'm able to be here today. um, and be witnessed doing the hard thing. Because I was even waking up this morning like, out of all days to like show my face, and also like what a divine timing, right? In terms of the challenges that you, Naima, and I have been talking about, that I've been going through in terms of being highly visible, re-emerging, right? From a parental leave and just traumatic ass work experiences or leadership experiences. So thank you everyone for being here.
Like, that was so much, like, that's why the inner fortress is so important, and really, why I'm so grateful for just that we can be here. When I say there's more, I wanna stay right here because this conversation right here that just came right there, I'd like for you and I and a couple others to actually have this conversation behind closed doors and explore something, but in the interest of being on YouTube, in the interest of being live right now on YouTube, and this topic, so Mida is a member of the woman community, and the doors are open today and they close on Sunday. This topic of being the Latina martyr, and we talked about this in the community. There's not just in Latin culture, it's martyr period. Everyone who gets, particularly what I value about Maida's experience is the self-sacrifice, the revering of self-sacrificing that is prevalent even in that Black community, the Latina Black community, and really for women. There's it's a praise to, and I'll let Maida share because that's why I really want you here, Maida. I really want you to talk about it from a collective perspective as the Latina culture, like you said, Central American culture, and then
Mm,
your experience with the Latina expression that you share, which I love. I really want us to dig at that today for any Latina woman or even Afghan woman. Dude, this is happening everywhere. Indian, okay, even my dentist, who's an Indian woman, and she has children who are. She has two daughters. One just graduated from college, and the other one is about to. And they both want to like build up their own ability to make money and all that before they get married. And she was telling me, as she's in my mouth at the dentist, she's telling me about how much of a different life that her daughters can live because they're in the US versus if they were in India, you'd receive so much punishment and backlash for wanting to get to know yourself. You'd be
mm,
punished for wanting freedom and taking the steps to be free. So this is happening with women worldwide, and it's just the America's a baby. So these older countries, everywhere is older than everywhere is older than North America. Okay, so in these older countries where religious binds have had longer to root, the binding of women prevails so much, and so a lot of anyway, I could go on and on. I'll stop right there. So I'd like for us to go there. So as you speak, being mindful of that, the other women are watching who are in their own bind, and you having a very personal Latina perspective can share the the guilt, right? The what we call the Catholic guilt.
oh, yes,
Oh,
it's real.
yeah. Oh,
Um, there,
you know,
and as I was listening to you speak, Naima, I was thinking about how like La Sacrificada, she really transcends across diasporas.
that one. Say it again. What?
La Sacrificada, and
Las,
so in my experience growing up, one of the highest compliments you can pay a woman was that ella es bien sacrificada. She sacrifices a lot. Like that was literally the messaging, not just in household and community, culturally, that I received. Um, so, migrating to the US and growing up in the US was really like, I thought I was on some sort of like freedom path, right? Because I was able to go through many rites of passages that the women before me didn't get to, right? I was first to graduate from college. Um, I was able to, master the English language and take advantage of all the opportunities that came with that. Um, and
And
yeah, it
was there some guilt in that? Like, did you ever feel guilt in that?
oh yeah. Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. And an incredible amount of loneliness in it
Yeah.
too. Um,
Which I
but
think does it point to why so many women of all cultures, right? Latina, right? Why sometimes it could be hard to break away because it's like if I get free, it also means a kind of loneliness.
a loneliness, I will be navigating new terrain. I will be the first. There's so much we glamorize about, right? Like those kind of pioneering or trailblazing, I think better said, roles that some of us are assigned to take on, and there's a real loneliness.
Hmm.
Um, the women community has really been like this balm, this medicine for me, because as I traversed a lot of these barriers, I feel like I had to like not just break through, I really felt like I had to like fight through.
Yeah.
There I just noticed an incredible amount of hardening happening. I don't know how else to describe it. There was just like a hardening that happened,
Hmm.
um, that created greater separation between myself and my body. Um,
Ooh.
and and in some ways it allowed me to uh, survive, right? And make it to Sarah Lawrence College, make it to these different milestones that are like beyond what I ever imagined for myself. And there's an incredible like suffering that happened in that hardening. So being in the women community has allowed me to really come into a different kind of softness. I came in total like it's I have to laugh at myself. I came in total like overachiever kind of rule book where I was like, if I just overcommit to daily practices within the woman community, I'm going to be accelerated through my level up. And, in all of that, I got to really sit with the softness and the kindness and the love I was being offered and really have women reflect back to me. I remember my first meeting, they were just like, oh, I think you need a spiritual bath. And I was like, what? What do you mean? I have to keep on going. I am just getting started. Like, oh my God. And again,
Yeah.
being hit the same thing emerging. And so just really, yeah, I have to laugh because I think sometimes it's just the way to kind of break through.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say something to that, Maida, because ooh, yeah, something that I'm in right now too is reeling it in and really staying in my body because I hosted a live stream last week and it really did a number on my body and it caused me to really get physiologically that I need to stay here because it lives, the true of what a woman is lives in me deep. And when so something you just said, it touched that spot. And I want to talk. This is really, really important because in this area is where a lot of the rage that's running through the feminine collective lives. Okay. So shout out to Luna and Auspice in the comments. Okay, the rage and that you know how you said earlier about how you can easily just go disembodied and like and that so much of the imagery and the media and that's what it's doing. It's meant to arrest people mentally, have you just want to escape, be like get out, right? Because it's violent, it's hostile, it's mean, it's divisive, it's and so it's easy to be distracted by that and to direct all of your precious life force energy and mental bandwidth to that. That's very easy to do. And that's what a lot of people are doing. So it's the media's intent is doing its job in that way. And our job then becomes to notice it as you gorgeously explained that you are doing, that those of us who are doing, and coming home. And this also is an invitation to strengthen our inner fortress and this whole what's going on fully here, and
Mhm.
use the intensity of the external world to bring us back into an anchoring and strengthening what's going on here. Like, hello, alchemy, hello, high order way of being and living. Then though, the hardening that you mentioned, okay?
Mhm.
You're looking on the internet as I am, as everyone who's watching this live stream or replay, right? We're seeing women are, well, the ones who are, right? Because everyone's walking a different path. The hardening, but this hardening has been going on a long time, okay?
Mhm.
And when I say a long time, I mean for millennia, okay? The number of, pre-birth control, the number, you work with women, Maida, okay? I work with women. Many of us work with women of all ages, okay? I've had clients old enough to be my mother. I've been in other healing and transformational and power programs with women who I wasn't working with as like the coach or the mentor or facilitator. So I got to experience them differently. And this hardening has been a long time. Think about your mother, your grandmother, okay, great grandmother, and how much the pressure of the systems of at work have had women, feel forced or bound to them for economic reasons, for fear of isolation, persecution, all the things that you mentioned, women who have it in them to be willing, like for you to be the pioneering one, me, other women, because these pioneering women come from all cultures, the Indian community, the Afghan, the Latin, the Korean, and the hardening that happens in that, and how we have the itness in us to even have us go that way. And then how many don't, right? But how many are because of the inspiration? And I want to speak to the women now who are navigating that hardness and are finding their way to softness or even struggling with the whole process, because still, again, what we're fighting are these invisible forces that want to keep humans not free, okay?
Mhm.
Which are in people. We need to remember this also. These are people who want humans to not be free, okay? Who funnel energy and money and ritual into the systems that keep humans bound, okay? And so, first, a kiss and a breath to the hardening, okay? Kiss and breath to the hardening that is living in so many of women's right here. Here, 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 further down, ankles, knees, just the chronic autoimmune disease, the PCOS, the rigidity, the pain in the joints. Like, this is how women carry, this is how the hardening looks and feels. Okay. I want to acknowledge that. I want to, everybody here watching, to soften. Like, this is something that a woman, we are individually tasked with doing this. No one is going to give this to us. And it's what a lot of men, plenty don't care, and many don't know. Okay. And it's the woman's job. Sometimes we're just so exhausted and full of rage, and we're like, we don't fuck, I don't want to teach men anymore. Like, that's what's happening with so many women. Like, I don't want to fucking teach men anymore. I'm sick of this shit. And, like, it was total, I get it. Like, it's understandable. A lot of mothers and grandmothers did not talk honestly to their sons and grandsons. So they think, oh, they just love being in the kitchen and, not buying the dresses she wanted. And, oh, see, you should be like my grandmother because she did it all and she was just so happy to live like that. And I can tell you, looking at my mom and grandma, they're not telling the boys the truth. Like, Sorry.
Mhm.
So this is why the girls think and feel one thing, and the boy think and feel one thing, and there's because communication wasn't clear on both sides. There's this miscommunication going on. Uh, so when you are looking at things through a high order, you don't get sucked into the system and all of its energetic push pulls. You can look at, okay, what's happening here and commit your life to living at that level. Unless if you want to be without the unnecessary suffering. How about that? Okay. So I wanted to speak to the hardening first, Maida, because you're just going and you have layers to what you're saying, and there's so much. And I
Mhm.
wanna just pull from the bounty of what you're sharing to help anchor this into people's lived reality collectively, okay? Women collectively, okay? So that thank you. And then, did you wanna say anything about that?
I just also wanted to say there's this real um I feel like I'm relearning how to come back into my
Yeah,
body um when you're talking about all these messages, images that we're experiencing in real time. Um I think migrating in many ways can when you have to immigrate, migrate, sometimes it can create you displaced, you're physically displacing your body somewhere
right,
else in
right.
context. Um, and I find that there's been a lot of these the places where I have like created a false refuge have been
Mm,
like almost searching how to come back into the
mm,
body.
yeah.
Um, and like when I think about how alcoholism shows up in my family, it's like,
Oh
yeah,
god.
there's something there. There's um a search of how to come back, right? And I'm so grateful that it's I about a year ago unconsciously, and I think it became conscious in the last few months. I just like stopped drinking. Just stopped drinking alcohol. It was never like a I'm sober today, and I never had like an excessive drinking problem, but there was something about it that I started to become like just turned off to.
Mhm.
Uh, because it's like, oh, I think unconsciously I knew it was blocking me from coming into my body, and it was not gonna help that process.
Exactly.
Um, so our body, how do we create? How do we make our bodies our homes again after
Yes.
having all disembodied experiences and these experiences of hardening and other things I would notice in the hardening was something when I was especially feeling that hardness. Animals wouldn't come up to me the way they used to. Um, Small children responded to me differently. I used to have, for most of my life, I had a way with animals and children. Children were just drawn to me. Animals, nature, I always had like a special relationship to animals and nature, especially as a child. And when that hardening happened, I noticed that. I was like, oh, there is something like happening in this process that I think is about improving myself because, like, oh, I'm getting a degree. Oh, I'm doing this to, have financial stability. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, my favorite one, my favorite La Sacrificada line for my community, um, for my people, so we can have better. And then in the process, like hardening myself, right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
um,
Beautiful
you know,
awareness.
mhm.
Mhm. I wanna say, Maida, I've thought this so many times. Do you know how gorgeously and how physiologically activating you speak? Do you know that?
I have been told this.
You
Do
do.
I? Hmm.
I let the words go because there's so many. I just wanted to come through and keep going without me gripping onto it. But there's something you said, and it just reminded me of the many times that you and I have been in communication, and it just hits. It's collective. I can, uh, and oftentimes I'm hearing through a marketing lens, and I'm like, oh, that's a course name. Oh, that's a title. Oh, that could be a hook. Oh, like it's just boom, 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 boom. And it's just so, oh, thank you.
Thank you. And I think
Hmm.
to question, I know. I'm not always knowing though.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I'm
you
not
do. That's the thing about knowing. It's it's sort of like when you stop, huh?
it's one of those things where if someone were to ask me like, "Maida, do you think you're a pretty woman?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm pretty."
Yeah.
Um am I always like in that thinking about that? Sometimes it just feels like
Yeah, true knowing is not even like that. It's
it's
it's not
like
even like that.
flowing
Yeah.
sometimes. And
Yeah.
my assignment, I think, is finding a way to catch up and connect to them sometimes because I do will have like a thought and it'll just um
No, so this
it
is a gorgeous time to speak to knowing women. Oh my God, you stunning things, you. I'm talking about the feminine collective. Oh my God. You- So knowing is not like you're thinking it all the time, but you know this. So I'm just really saying this to put words to it for people. Okay, so you already know what I'm getting ready to say. When I say know it, I don't mean like you can articulate it. I don't mean like you know it like this, and you already said it. So this is great that others have already heard you say this. When you said, I just intuitively stopped drinking because I just unconsciously knew that it was time for me to come into my body. That is evidence of knowing. No, real knowing works like that.
Mhm.
You see, that's how real knowing is. So I'm saying that so to speak. So how does it feel to know that that's how knowing works? Has that landed? Has that landed what I just said? Like,
It just uncomplicates it completely. There is
and
like yeah,
and
I think
then
that's
with the uncomplication, what does that then allow? Oh my God.
you know, and I think you've definitely spoken about this in other streams. It's like the age of therapy talk and the age of evolving language. Like how many times we'll like use this therapy talk as like a I don't know. I'm putting it here
Distraction.
because that's kind of what it does. It kind of
Distraction.
a distraction,
Yeah.
you know? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with therapy. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with self-awareness. Um, and there is something just uncomplicated
Yep.
about tapping into your own knowing that I
And
think is
so and
ancestral
here's
too.
what happens. Here's what happens. So once it's no longer complicated and we move all the shit out the way that we use to impede the actual flow, then we can dance in the thing that brings us alive, which that funnels into so many. I mean, this is, I was looking for the abundante, okay? Because that's what happens when all the complications are out of the way. The over talking, the fillers, the like creating another thing to talk about to get us off of the just being in the pure flow. We can make love now. We can like, right, with all the things that we really want to do. Fuck, make love, kiss, uh, get sit on the floor and eat like because that's what happens. And then all the healing we're looking for, everything. It's like where it happens. And I know it's easier said than done, and I'm not trying to oversimplify it. Like, see, that's all you gotta do. But like, yeah, see, that's all you gotta do.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and I want that. I want that for all women.
Yeah. So where I cut you off earlier was you were talking about the hardening and then the softening and where you are now with I want us to if you take it wherever you want to go, but I just want to bring us back here to from self-sacrificing, la sacrificada. I love it. To shameless woman. Eat it,
Mhm.
bitch.
Yeah,
Right? Listen, so talk to us about that from the Latin perspective. Talk, like like what is going on in a Latin home, a typical Latin home, right? Where, whether you're talking about Spain, Central America, South America, Mexico, what's going on in a Latin home typically that has a woman give herself over to self-sacrificing? What are the fears? What are the cultural binds? What are the rewards? What are the pains? And what does a woman navigate to unhook herself from that? And why would she do that? I'd love to hear that from your perspective. Speaking Latin collectively, and then your personal experience.
sure. I think for a lot of women who are growing up in Latin American homes, definitely like the role of machismo
Mhm.
plays a big is unfortunately central to how a lot of us move through the world, especially those of us that are raised as young girls.
Can you describe what is machismo exactly? The pros and cons as well.
Machismo is the kind of toxic masculine archetype
Mm.
in, Latin American culture. And
Mhm.
it's part that is complicit or right or operates within machismo is Marianismo. That's the one that's
Mm.
lesser known. So Marianismo, she shows up as the self-sacrificing woman, imagery of Virgin Mary, um, submissive.
Okay.
Uh, think about domestication being in the house. And so these two systems play with each other. They feed off
Okay.
of each other, right? In order for machismo to exist, there has to be Marianismo. In order for Marianismo to exist, there has to be machismo. So
Okay.
in that system, um, that's the system I was, raised in. I raised in a very traditional Latina household. What that looked like is my dad was, the main breadwinner provider, and my mom was a homemaker. And when she had a job, she was a domestic worker. So again, like falling into kind of like domesticated kind of labor. When my parents, they're both from a very rural part of Costa Rica. My town is responsible for producing over 40% of the country's coffee. So if you
Mm.
ever had from Costa Rica, you're welcome. It came from my community.
Hey.
And when I migrated, my dad continued that more manual labor work. He worked sugarcane in the sugarcane fields in Florida. He was a day laborer. My dad took a lot of pride in being a man who is providing for his home. So it was very normal for my dad to have sometimes two, three jobs. And then in the house, I was essentially raised, programmed to be a wife.
Mm.
No one ever sat me down and was just like, Maida, you're going to be a wife now, or someday you will be a wife. It's the unspoken messages that I think are more powerful. The fact that, I was expected to like, roast chicken, a whole chicken, and like make rice by the time I'm eight. And again, none of this stuff is like wrong by itself. I want to say that because like cooking, cleaning, all these are survival skills. We need to know. Everyone needs to know how to do them. In my house, it was very gendered. My brother never had to do any of those things. It was
Mm.
always me, my older sister, and my little sister, who's the youngest, so 6 years younger. So she experienced it a little differently with two older sisters in the home.
Is this
Um,
by your expression? Is this what makes it toxic? That it's gendered?
no, I think what makes the dynamic toxic is whenever there is. I think about the role that like punishment plays
Hmm.
socially. I think I,
Hmm.
I, I even draw from experiences in my childhood where um, I was the bad girl. I was out of my sisters expressed myself in some ways what our culture would see as masculine.
Okay.
I was very into playing outside. I was really into my physicality, climbing, didn't really care about being dirty. And I was the daughter that my dad would take to like the Home Depot and stuff, you know?
Okay.
So,
Okay. So you were
so
labeled the bad girl for that.
girl, and there's even a term for it that I was called at some points is in our culture is called marimacha, is a derogatory word for, you know, I guess the equivalent in English language would be a dyke, right?
Okay.
And since my name is Mayra, of course, mighty matcha became a very easy thing for people to
Okay.
like put because of how I acted. And so I was punished for not falling in line in certain ways. So I think the places it becomes toxic is whenever people are robbed of their choice or
Mm.
are enforcing it, right? That's I think where like enforcement and punishment comes in because I'm just like, there's nothing wrong with a man being a provider. Like there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to like, you know, raise her family. I think it's whenever we are punished
For not
for
doing life
for
that
not
way.
yeah, for stepping out, and I stepped out in big ways.
Yeah.
So
And
there was there was
what are the
the
punishments typically in Latin culture?
oh my god, I mean, I have a lot of hope with my generation, and this could just be the content I'm consuming that's, like, tailoring it to what I want to see, but I have hope with, a lot of millennial Latina parents who are not, practicing chancla culture, corporal punishment. It was a big part of how I grew up, and for my parents, it was even worse. And for their parents, probably 10 times worse, you know? And so for me, it showed up as I was beat as a kid by my mom. My dad never my dad never spanked us or because he was just so traumatized, I think, from having that be so it was so bad in his childhood and in
Mhm.
his own right. Even in the ways my mom beat me, I still consider my parents cycle breakers because the level of things that they had to transcend in order to raise us is actually
Mm.
astounding. Um,
Wow. Look at that.
so
Yes. I love that you see
they are
that.
cycles, and you know, in breaking the cycle, I think they had to learn. Yeah, they had to learn through me.
Yes.
Um, mom
Oof.
especially, I think my mom especially, I think, was delivered that lesson, and I don't have to hear it from her to know that she's sorry every day about it.
Mm. Oh, sorry about what?
Um, for hitting me,
Mm.
for there was like kind of like anytime I expressed bigness, um, there was like a squashing.
Yes.
Um, you're being dramatic. Um, it is malcriada. Malcriada is poorly raised. So it's not even like a label on you. It's like how you're showing up represents
The
the
family.
unit, the family. Um, Another element that comes with being raised, I think, that especially affects Latina women, and again, I think transcends across diasporas, but this is what I've seen is the power of el que dirán. What will people say?
Yeah. That's it.
It is a huge way that controls um, this push to control appearances. And this is also like the physicality, right? Like we're raised to really treasure, protect, and cultivate beauty, physical beauty, right? And that also has its like anti-black, anti-indigenous undertones, right? In terms of like a beauty, what is the beauty standard?
Hmm.
Um, and all of that is like programming,
Yep.
right? That even in migration, even in me, you know, doing these trailblazing milestones, I thought I was this liberated woman, right?
Yeah.
Still found myself in different contexts making the same
Yep.
self-sacrifice choices. And that was, like, so glaring.
So there,
Um
let's go there. Let's go there. Talk
Mhm,
very specifically about what you've uncovered in the last 4 months, because this has been gorgeous to watch you acknowledge, and not the first time, right? And like really sit it down. It's been beautiful to watch you see, oh my God, look at me. And then like in real time, notice yourself doing it, catch it, and be like, no. And then, okay, so how do I soften here? How do I let this go? How do I let myself like do what I really want to do here?
mm,
You know? What's that been
mm.
like? Tell us like as much as you want about that.
I mean, it's been so uncomfortable. It's been liberating. It's been uncomfortable. It's been, like, um, I wanna say humiliating, but I'm gonna it's like the line between humiliating and humbling.
Yes, 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 yes.
Um, because it's not either one. I think there's just, like, an in between the 2.
Mhm.
Um, and
Where it
so for me.
actually hits the spot and does what it's supposed to do. There's a name for it, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so I that's what it's been like, these past, I think, a little over 2 weeks now. So the first 2 months in the woman community, I did this 30-day 10 times challenge, with Naeem and some other members of the community, and in true overachiever fashion, I, like, piled on my daily practices. I was like, I'm gonna ascend, and then I'm gonna be, like, leveled up, and this is my 75-day hard plan of level up, and really what I needed to slow down was to slow down, and, like, what continued emerging and that challenge was that. So then the third time I did it, I was like, okay, I'm not even going to call this a challenge. I'm just going to call this living deliciously. And it's amazing, Naima, because you really bring to light what we already know, but sometimes need permission to, like, hear out loud or do. And when I was on the call with you, you're just like, well, what if you just slow down? What
Mhm.
if you just steered everything towards your schedule? What if you just had slower mornings and, keep the daily movement in, but no more last minute, orchestrating of things?
Or
And
having a
so,
whole list of things to do to make you feel like you're doing something, you're achieving, you're being not being lazy, you know?
that was a big one. I was like, oh my God, I have been fighting this real desire to be a little aimless.
Mhm.
I was aimless.
And that's a cultural thing too, even in the, Black community about if you're not producing something, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah,
you're being
it's your
lazy. What are you doing if you're not producing something? You must earn everything by working yourself to the bone, or else you deserve to suffer and starve.
Ah! Oh my god, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Meanwhile,
Hilarious.
talking about feminine. Yeah, I don't want no feminine. You want a workhorse. Get out of my
Yeah,
face. Anyway, go
yeah,
ahead.
that's who I've been in so many of my leadership roles, every leadership role, every um, and so it's been really beautiful to slow down. Um, I, like, shared this in the woman community meeting, I think, last week, where I was like, there was a cookout, there was a carne asada. It was my partner's birthday carne asada, and I didn't do shit. I
Nothing.
anything. I don't even know how the grill made it to the park. I just showed up. I showed up an hour late. Everything was beautifully set.
Yes.
Nothing fell apart. Um, and I got to just enjoy the time,
And then
you know?
here's another beautiful part, because women, this is part of the struggle, right? Because remember the whole "what will people think," right?
Mhm.
Your cousin gave you the stank. Like, why you not over here struggling to help us? Why you not la sacrificada for this? Okay, because that's
Yeah.
what we used to you being la sacrificada, and how that felt.
Um, I just smiled. I gave her the biggest hug, and I was like, "This is beautiful." And then every time everyone, because of course people defaulted to thinking I put it together, because the partners always carry everything, especially the feminine partner. I'm in a lesbian relationship, but my partner's gender expression is more masculine than
Yes.
mine. So everyone's assuming I like did all these balloons in the trees. I was like, oh no, this was not me. And then I directed the credit over there, and I'm like, she's so creative, she's amazing, she has her own business. Here's her card, like
Boom. Listen,
not
and you
not for
dealt with the
me.
discomfort of that. I want
Mhm.
to emphasize that this is uncomfortable
It's
and
so
you are
uncomfortable.
deliberate
Judgment. The what will
judgment.
people say? I felt it. I was like, oh, well, people will think I don't love my partner anymore. People will think I'm a bad girlfriend. People will think that, oh, like I don't do anything around here, and like what? And I was just like, no, I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. And this is why community matters because Maida didn't just do this. I mean, she
Hmm.
went through the whole process of yet again engaging in the La Sacrificada to be a good girl, okay, with her first 30-day challenge in the woman community and it being able to see that, but again, in the community, right, where she's being reflected back to. Even the conversation I had with you, Maida, I knew that you wanted to drop it. That's why I was like, and I was like, it's what you want to do anyway. And you were like, 100%.
Hmm.
You know? And so this is the value of community. This is part of what I want to bring to you all today. So before I finish what I'm saying, if you know it's time for the community, if you have been eyeing the community, doors are open 1 week only and it starts today. Okay. The Womanhood Initiation is today at 12 p.m., which is in about an hour. Again, the Womanhood Initiation is today, and the Womanhood Initiation is your gateway into the woman community. There's also going to be two more Womanhood Initiations. So if you can't make it today, like most people are going to see this probably after 12 p.m. today, there's another womanhood initiation on Wednesday, and then the final one is on Sunday. Okay. So, what has happened, and this goes with what I say that real power in womanhood and dropping into one's body in a way that is sustainable and true and anchored in takes time. No one just says, well, today is the day. And even if a woman does say today is the day, it's going to take time for her to have that be her default way of being because the default is usually some version of La Sacrificada. It's just glamorized.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just glamorized through hyper busyness, hyper production. You got so many things going on because I'm booked and busy. And like that's how it's glamorized in social media. I'm getting to the bag and booked and busy and I got a lot going on and I'm, all this.
Mhm.
And so many women really they want to create according to their rhythm, but in order to actually discover your rhythm, you got to pull back and soften and quiet to like find it and catch it,
Mhm.
Because oftentimes the patterns that we're in are very much la sacrificada. I love that we have that language to use. Thank you. Very much, right? And because this is the feminine collective, right? And women know this. When women gather and start talking, you realize that this cross cultures. This is not just a Latin thing. It's not just a Black thing. It's not just a Korean thing. It's not just an Afghan thing. This is part of the dominant religious structure over humanity. Okay, and every culture has its own religion, but the one consistent theme through all religions is that the woman is down, bind, less, and small, which shows up as liar, cunning, manipulative. You know, that's what it shows up as. And the man is this natural, whatever. What would you call it? What is he?
Uh, uh, Protector, controller, provider,
Yeah,
enforcer.
yeah. Which has
Um,
its pros and cons for him too. We're not going to get into that. But so the point is the community is the opportunity for you to take your time and it's mature and it's serious. So be ready for the rest of your life. This is not something that you take lightly. This is something you take very serious with the love and kindness. Okay. Maida, something that you shared, and this might be the end because I feel like we could really go, but we're already at almost an hour. Thank you for being here. Maybe we'll do this again. But something you said that really I think is so good for women to know worldwide who may come across this live stream who are struggling with what is my mom going to think? How is this going to affect my relationship? How am I going to look to like the Latin people in my community? How, is a man gonna want me? Just like all the things that happen, right, in the head. Uh, am I gonna go sell coochie? Because that seems to be the only thing, or like all the things, right? You said that even without your mother overtly saying it, that she feels sorry every day that she spanks you for expressing your true self as a child, your
Mhm.
bigness, your expressionness, and she feels sorry. Why? Why is she sorry? What does she know now that she didn't know then?
Oh my god.
Exactly.
Oh,
Or she
she know
wasn't willing to admit then. Sorry.
Mhm. The all of the health issues that run, especially in women in my family, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes type 1, diabetes type 2, uh, depression, anxiety, PTSD. Um, my mom had to weather, and I think it's shown up in her body now in age. Um, and it's it's really hard.
Mhm.
It's really hard. Um, I think she also sees, I've spoken about this at different points. Like every time I've been on the cusp of like a breakthrough, sometimes it's felt like I've like dove through a portal into like another level in my life. I was met with such fear-based, controlling responses from my mom. And she's witnessed all of those breakthroughs now and the ways they've kind of not just, I'm still in the process of freeing myself, but I like to think that, every time I have leveled up, loved ones have benefited. I know that
Yeah.
for a fact. So she's seen these ways that those breakthroughs have granted that for me and for all of us. And yeah. And then she's also seen like the alternative, right? Like I have women in my family who have chosen really abusive partnerships with men. Um, the tenor of machismo in this generation looks very funny, in my opinion. My dad's of a certain generation. Um, the machismo of now isn't just like, oh, I'm the provider. It's like I'm the controller, and oh, also you have to provide. Well, like it's all messed up. It's all messed up. And being so many women in my family, in my generation, that my mom sees how their relationships have impacted them and how they continued cycles. And then there's me, right? Who,
A
I've
mirror.
continued. Hmm.
Mhm.
I've continued different cycles that I'm in the process of breaking and that I'm in awareness of. And she's witnessing me in that, and I know it means a lot to her. Um, and that she's been able to find her place as like my cheerleader in that.
This is, yeah, the marathon continues. Is there
That's
anything you'd
right.
like to say? Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
I hope I see you all in the women community. This has been such a beautiful, nurturing, kind space. This space has really helped me write my relationship to other women who I love
Mm,
and admire. Um, and I hope to see you there.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's uncomfortable. I mean, we have 20 values now. Did you read the new updated?
I did.
We had 11, now we have 20. We have 20 to parlay and to remind us all that this is uncomfortable. We agree in generative struggle. That's Myra's language, by the way. I love that. Generative struggle. Struggle up. That's how I said struggle up. We agree to lean in because there is this beauty on the other side. There is
Mhm.
tenderness and softness on the other side. There is coming home to oneself, the ability to create one's inner fortress, connection with other women that's true and real and raw and like, hello. Okay. So that then we can open up to the way of being, then the way of money, and then the way of creating, and then just like all the goodness. And it takes time and it's difficult and it hurts. And it's just been so great to watch you, Maida. Your first meetings, you were showing up like, good girl, community meeting, showing up. And now you show up to the meetings like, you know, you're
Just
just
like
it's just like in your body. This is what's up. I'm getting there. Like, real.
yeah.
And when you're ready to show up with your hair, you know what I mean? Like you were so like the hair was cute and like, cheeky, right? But you can only really get there authentically when you have the space to soften and like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
100%.
So it's lovely. It's great. And it's great to see you even be so willing, because some women are not, some women are like, like a stray cat. Like they're hungry, but
They're like, "Not that." Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
So you've been
god.
very like, okay, what do I do? This is what's going on with me, and I'm
Like,
just leaving. I'm leaving today. So that's the reality, ladies. This is the
Mhm.
reality of developing and blooming into oneself. That's Delal's language. I love it. She's like blooming. The woman community, like blooming. The bloom. It's authentic blooming. So the link is in the description to sign up for the Womanhood Initiation. Again, there are 3 Womanhood Initiations this week. The Womanhood Initiation is your gateway into the woman community. Mayra, gracias, muchas gracias. No more la sacrificada. We choose, right? This is that we choose our desired state at all times.
Yes.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Bye,
Ciao for
everyone.
now.